Game week 10 is here, and that means another week on my team selection. So let's see how my team is looking like for this week. But before we get started with my team, I want to say a big thank you to everyone. We hit 500 subscribers the other day. So listen, thank you to everyone that subscribed. And make sure you guys like the video as well, because I feel like I never ask for likes bar the end of the videos, and I get in trouble for every single time I don't, but the likes are high. So make sure you guys like the video so I don't get in trouble. But anyway, let's get started with my defense for this week. And I'm very, very happy with how it's looking. Nick Pope in goal against West Ham. That is a brilliant fixture. West Ham, as we know, not the best of sides. A lot's going wrong at that football club right now. Nuno can't get anything out of that football club. And as I said before with West Ham, teams are normally either good technically or have incredible physical capabilities. West Ham are arguably the worst side in terms of physicality-wise in the league. Their midfield, slow, weak. It is very, very poor. And I'll be honest, this is a game that can only see going one way, Newcastle victory, which is why I'm very, very hopeful that Nick Pope keeps a clean sheet. And then my Arsenal boys, Timber and Gabriel. Listen, what can I say? What can I say? If we're looking at clean sheet odds for this week, they have a 52% chance of clean sheet. And I'll be honest, I think that's underestimating that Arsenal defense. In my eyes, this clean sheet against Burnley is 70% locked. They're going to keep it. I have full faith in Gabriel, Timber, Calafiori, Saliba, Raya, Rice, Zubimendi. Whoever plays on the Arsenal side, we know they're probably going to keep a clean sheet, which is why I am very, very hopeful for the potential of points this week. Again, this is a game that Arsenal are going to have a lot of the ball. Timber's going to get himself into advanced positions. Could this be a game where Timber gets a goal contribution? Potentially. Now, Gabriel. A lot of people are captaining Gabriel this week, and I'll be honest, I think that is a very silly decision. We want to captain Sahul. That means 2 or more returns. Let's say Arsenal keep a clean sheet. That's a lock. That's 6 points right there. But the chance of Gabriel scoring are actually not as high as people think. Let's say this season Gabriel scores 8 Premier League goals. That's a goal every 21% of games. That's not a lot if you think about it, especially when there's other captaincy contenders, for example, Erling Haaland. I wouldn't go there. I think it's very, very silly if you're going to captain Gabriel this week, especially considering he's probably not going to get DEFCON this week. It's going to be a game where Arsenal have a lot of the ball. I just don't see it. I remember there was a game a couple weeks ago, Arsenal played West Ham. West Ham are the worst side at set pieces. Did Gabriel score? No. Set pieces and score, like the defender who scores from set pieces, let's say, can be quite unpredictable, which is why I would not go there. Joe Rodon is the third centre back or third defender for this week. I would love it to be Anderson. Like we said with the clean sheet odds, Fulham have a 40% chance for clean sheet. The reason I went with Anderson on my wildcard initially was for this week. I wanted to play him in, but obviously that can't be the case. Then it's either between Senesi and Joe Rodon. As we can see, Joe Rodon has a higher chance of a clean sheet. I also don't think Senesi's, let's say, DEFCON potential might not be the highest in terms of City are going to have a lot of the ball. City are not the sort of side that whip balls into the box where Senesi is going to get a lot of clearance points, for example. Of course, Bournemouth are probably a lot more aggressive than most sides where Senesi can pick up DEFCON. But I'm not too sure. I'm going to lean towards Joe Rodon for this week. But that is my defense. And before we head over to the midfielders, I checked my YouTube analytics the other day. 88.5% of people that watch this channel are not subscribed. So what are you guys doing? Subscribe! And now the midfield. Let's go from left to right and starting with Semenyo against Manchester City away. I've seen a couple of people toy with the idea of selling Semenyo. Me personally, I think this is a brilliant fixture for Semenyo to get a goal contribution. Like I said, City are probably the weakest on the transition. Can Semenyo exploit that for Bournemouth? 100%. Another thing as well, City's press against Aston Villa was probably not the best. In terms of City went to the same structure that they had during the treble season where John Stones was stepping into midfield. I think Mateus Nunes played right back and he didn't know whether to go with Buendia or drop off a bit covering Stones. So say City go with the same sort of pressing structure, that could be an area where Semenyo could potentially exploit Manchester City. But I don't think Pep Guardiola will do the same thing twice. Enzo Fernandez against Tottenham. Now this is a very interesting game because I'll be honest, as a neutral, I don't know which way this is going to go. Could I see Tottenham winning? Yes. Could I see Chelsea winning? Yes. Could I see a draw? Also, yes. But at the same time, like I said previously, Enzo Fernandez, even when he's not getting goal contributions, he still looks involved in the game, which is why, listen, could he get a couple goals against, let's say a goal against Tottenham? The answer to that question is also yes. And remember, guys, Tottenham are worse at home. Their away record is very, very good, but at home, they're not as strong. Also, by the way, this might be a surprising stat. Tottenham have scored the joint most goals in the Premier League this season. Like that, when I saw that today, an article by Jamie Carragher, that absolutely shocked me. But anyway, listen. Enzo Fernandez is in. Saka against Burnley. Now, this is another one where I've seen a lot of people captain Saka this week, and I'm not too sure. I don't think Saka's open play threat has been the greatest so far this season in terms of, as we can see, Saka's the one who's keeping the width for the Arsenal side. Timber's the one coming inside, getting shots off, for example, down the right, which is why I'm not too sure if Saka's going to really haul big, if that makes sense. Can he get 2 or 3 returns? Potentially, because he's a top player. But the chances of that happening, I'm not too sure how highly I want to go against, for example, an Erling Haaland captaincy this week. So that's why he's not a captaincy option for me this week. He's still in my team. I still think he has the potential to get a couple, let's say a goal or an assist, which that's what Saka's been really doing over the last couple of weeks in FPL. He's been getting the odd goal contribution, but over like a big haul, hasn't really happened. But anyway, Saka's going to be in against Burnley. I think Burnley will make it very difficult, by the way, for Arsenal. Like we know, Burnley at home, they sit back. Liverpool, who are, let's say, a relatively strong attacking side, they struggle to break them down. And I think Burnley at home can do that to quite a lot of sides in the Premier League. But at the same time, Arsenal have enough quality where you can say they will probably win this game. But probably 2-0. That's my prediction for this week for the Arsenal-Burnley game. Now, Salah against Brentford. The frustrating thing right now with Salah is midweek games in the Conference League or in the Carabao Cup, he keeps scoring. But in the Premier League, Salah, I need some goals. And hopefully against Brentford, who are not the strongest defensively, Salah can manage to get himself a goal contribution. Because listen, Crystal Palace offensively are relatively strong. We're seeing the data. They're one of the better sides. So hopefully Salah can haul. Let's go over to the attack. Now with the attack, and as you guys can see, I have made the João Pedro to Mateta move. As I said on my transfer plan video last week, it was a dilemma. I was either going to go João Pedro down to, let's say, a 4.5 and Sean Longstaff up to Mbuemo, or just move João Pedro to Mateta. The reason why I went with the João Pedro to Mateta move was I was looking at the fixtures, I was looking at the data over the next couple games, or like projected points, and Mateta over the next 3 has a higher chance of hauling more than Mbuemo. His points predictions are higher, so I thought, let me go with the Crystal Palace man. And after game week 12, 13, when Manchester United's fixtures really start to pick up, a bit more home games, then I can obviously revisit that move with potentially getting in Brian Mbuemo. But for now, Mateta is in. Also, if we're looking at goal scoring odds, Mateta has the second highest projected goals for this week at 0.6. Haaland's first at 0.9, which is incredible. And by the way, when I was talking about a Saka captaincy option, Saka is down at 11th. Behind people like Raul Jimenez, Anthony Gordon, who hasn't even scored a goal in the Premier League, which is why I'm not too sure about Saka's chances of hauling big this week, which is why I'm avoiding that captaincy option for now. And as you guys can see, Mbuemo is on the second side, number 24, below Igor Jesus. So I think the justification of why I went with Mateta makes sense, hopefully. Listen, I've done it now. What can you do? Walter Mard is also in my team against West Ham, and I'll be honest, I'm very, very hopeful again. Listen, he got a lot of minutes in the Carabao Cup, which obviously as a Walter owner weren't the best. But at the same time, listen, West Ham are poor. As I said, I think they're worse at home just because of the pressure of the London Stadium. The West Ham fans are obviously not happy with the situation. So I'm hoping Walter can haul. And hopefully this could be a game where Newcastle offensively put in a performance. Because I don't think Newcastle's attack is fully clicked. Hopefully Walter can go big for me this week. And then Erling Haaland as my captain against Bournemouth. Listen, it's probably not the most ideal fixture. And it's not a bad game week to go against Erling Haaland for captaincy. But the problem is, as I said before, I'm not too sure who else I like as a captaincy option. Saka, as I said, I'm not too sure on, hauling big. And listen, Erling Haaland's at home. We know Manchester City are still relatively strong at home. He's still on penalties. Erling Haaland has a couple routes to points, which is why I'm still relatively happy owning Erling Haaland and captaining him. Of course, listen, I know a couple people are going to go with Salah. I know people are going to go with Saka. I know people are going to go Gabriel. But as I said, Erling Haaland's effective ownership rate for captaincy will probably be around 185%. It has been over the last couple of weeks. Am I really trying to go against that? No. And if I did, I would have to have like, let's say, strong conviction on the player that I'm captaining. I don't feel that this week. As I said, in a couple of weeks' time, Erling Haaland has Newcastle away. That's a game week where, listen, I don't really want to captain anyone at St. James's Park away. That could be the week that I go against Erling Haaland captaincy. But for now, Erling Haaland will be my captain. And that is how my team is looking like for game week 10. Still 2 free transfers in the bank. I'm relatively happy with my situation right now in FPL. And hopefully this week will mean a big green arrow. So make sure you guys like the video, comment your thoughts on my team, and subscribe to the channel. We will be back on Sunday with transfer plans.